Hi, everyone. I'm Mary Kurek with Frontrunners Innovate. And today on Life Lab, I have with me Judith Getugi. And Judith, by trade, it has pharmacy background, pharmacist background, and healthcare runs in her blood. But she's also the founder of WeRBinti. And we want to get into a little bit of what that is and how that relates to you, and maybe give you some information that might be, let's say, a little learning tidbit for you. But for right now, let's find out a little bit more about Dr. Judith and where she comes from, what has brought her into the work that she's doing today. So welcome, Dr. Judith, I'm going to call you. So thank you for being with us today. So tell us a little bit about your history, your background.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. So I'm actually a Kenyan by birth, and I still do reside in Kenya. And I have about 15 years or so in the pharmaceutical sector. And then recently I started up a digital health company about 2 years ago. And then late last year, I started up the WeRBinti program, which is a mentorship circle for women in healthcare. So we mainly target women, young women from 21 to about 35 years of age. But we've had older women and even younger women than that join our platform. So thank you so much for having me today.
You know, this is very fortuitous because I just picked up a mentee that is starting into the medical field. And she's in Africa, she's in Nigeria. So if you're global, then I'm definitely going to be bringing someone your way to, yeah. Do you have age limits?
No, not really. We're looking for people who are just starting out in their professional career.
Okay.
But we do still have other programs that run for younger women. So, or younger girls, let's say, in their teenage years. We have something called, like, we manage or try to train them about puberty, you know, what to expect. And, you know, so we work a lot with children's homes. Because we find the girls there don't really get the same experience the girls, you know, living, let's say, normal in quotes life. Yeah, so we try to work with them a lot, sort of give them sanitary towels, teach them about, you know, hygiene and all those kind of things. So we're quite diverse, but the programs run mainly for women in their professional careers.
Okay, very good. So from your healthcare background, this just pulls it right up to currently what you can do to give back as being someone that's been successful in your healthcare field. So when you started out to do your consultancy and create your own organization, what was that like for you? I mean, was it a difficult journey? Did you feel like you had support in doing it?
Well, I did have some support from my family, from my husband especially. But the community takes a while to accept something being run by a woman. So that was a challenge at the beginning, and also the name recognition. So I came from a well-known hospital where I'd worked for some time, and, you know, in the community, everyone's like, oh, Dr. Judy from such and such a place.
Yeah.
But now when you come to say, oh, I'm from Sis Pharma, I'm from Binti, what is that? So those, it was sort of an adjustment for me, like from coming to a place of being known and then to a place of total unknown, you know?
Yeah.
And then when you reach clients and, you know, they're like, oh, this place is being run by a woman. Okay, step back. I'm not sure we're gonna go with you for this, but let's see what happens. I got that answer a lot. Yeah, but I did have support from my family, from my husband especially. That's important. But it's been a great journey. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
How long have you been, you know, how long has it been since you started WeRBinti?
WeRBinti is just a few months old, actually. Okay. We just started late last year. But we already have over 200 mentees who joined, which actually goes to show that there was actually a need for this.
There is, yeah. So tell me what a typical mentee-mentor relationship looks like. What does a mentee offer to do for your mentor, offer to do for your mentees?
Basically what happens, we have a registration form or like a registration process where the mentee would identify an area that they need help in. And then we match them to a mentor that suits their needs. But at the same time, we have online programs that actually can take them through self-development. So, for example, you're working in an organization and you've just been promoted, maybe to a manager level, and it's your first time maybe being in administration, and you don't know how to be a leader. So we have a 12-week program that teaches you leadership. We have other courses like building your confidence, personal finance 101. So we have a lot of programs that run. And then at the same time, we have live sessions where we get speakers to come and tell us their personal story, how they got over the challenges that they faced, you know, yeah. So there are different options that someone can take.
That's good. Wonderful. How about somebody who's just getting into college, into medical school? What might be there for them?
For them, it would be better to get a one-on-one mentorship, because you'd like to understand what's in it for the medical journey, what is in it as a woman, what do you expect? And depending on which country you're in, we try to match you with someone in that country. But if not, then we get as close as we can, because our mentors come from all over the world. So we have some people in Canada, some people in South Africa, some people in US, some people in Nigeria, someone in Tajikistan actually. So yeah, we have people from everywhere. So as much as possible, we try to give the mentee what they're really looking for. And sometimes you find that someone might have chosen a particular program, but maybe it wasn't for them. Maybe they were doing it for somebody else, for their parents, for the recognition. So yeah.
So when somebody comes to WeRBinti, is there a fee involved? How does that work?
Okay, so some people, there's a fee involved. It just depends. If you're not working, so for the younger professionals, we understand maybe they're still looking for a job or something like that. So we get partners to sponsor the program. So pharmaceutical industries, or sometimes individuals step up to sponsor someone particular. But there's some people who are working and they want to pay for the program. So it's both, you know, self-sponsored and, you know, sponsored. Yeah.
Wow. This is really, I could see several other different spaces where this would be very meaningful, this type of mentorship and programming. But really the medical, you know, space is just, it's needed everywhere, but really where you're located there, you know, where, you know, in the entire continent actually just needs more educated and dedicated medical professionals. And so I think this is just wonderful. I'm so proud of you for doing this. This is wonderful. So you were talking about some events that were coming up, and I thought maybe you might want to share a little bit more about that.
Oh, great. So in May, we'll be having a legal clinic for healthcare professionals. And basically what that's about is, most times as a young professional, you don't know what getting into a contract means. You know, you don't know all the legalese, you know, behind the documentation. You just sign your name on it, and next thing you know, you're being sued out of everything that you've got.
Yes.
So yeah, we're trying to get a panel of lawyers to talk to the professionals, tell them about contracts, tell them about, you know, patents, because a lot of people are actually coming up with a lot of innovations these days. Talk about the digital space, you know, when you create your content, when you put yourself out there, you know, what kind of legal backing do you have? So that's basically what we're trying to look at. And then we also have, actually the legal clinic is going to be on the 14th of May. And then we also have a sustainability talk, which is basically trying to educate our youth about living a more sustainable life and, you know, trying to be more environmental friendly. So we have the usual stuff like tree planting ideas, but we also have eco-friendly products We're also talking about sustainable fashion,
Oh,
so yeah, so a lot of that interesting stuff. How can you actually make an impact as an individual? And that's going to be on the 20th of May.
wow. Okay, you've got some good things coming up. So how do people get involved in those events? Do they go to your Facebook page or your website and they can register there, or tell us how?
Actually, they're all on LinkedIn. So you can just click attend event, and then the link is already posted there. So once we go live,
Mhm.
you'll be reminded or you'll be notified. And then if you keep following us on social media as well, we keep putting up posters and reminding people that the events are coming up.
Okay, so when you talk about LinkedIn, it's going to be under the WeRBinti
Yes.
LinkedIn account. So we will drop
Yes.
the links to your social, your websites, any of that in the YouTube. If you're seeing this on YouTube, it'll be in the description. If you're seeing it on the Frontrunners Innovate site, then it'll be further down below the interview that you're seeing now. So this is great. So let's turn now to a little bit of education. So when you are working with mentees that are fairly new to the field, and from a general perspective, not specifics about the medical education, but from a general perspective, what is it they need to learn first, do you think, or most? What's most pressing? And let's give a couple of tips for that.
Okay, so I think the first thing I'd want to mention is actually our one-to-one program, which actually takes somebody through a sort of self-discovery process or self-awareness process, which I think is very important as a professional to first understand yourself. Once you do that, then you can do your work even better. You understand what drives you. And once you get that, what's your passion, Once you get that, then you're able to do your work even better, because now at the end of the day, it's not money that's driving me, it's the passion that's driving me. That's why I get up every day. So the first thing, establish your passion, know your why. Yeah. The other thing is you have to persevere. Medical school is tough.
Yeah.
So there's no two ways about it. You got to read, you have to take the time, just persevere through it. And at the end of the day, at the end of those years that you've kept in medical school, you'll feel rewarded, You'll feel like you're making an impact, you're making a difference in somebody's life. I think the other thing also I would say is commitment, again, especially when you're working. Once you're committed to something, it sort of brings out your integrity, in the sense that, in medical field, you have to keep people's information confidential. There's a lot of stuff that you learn about your patients that you have to sort of keep private. And that comes with integrity, it comes with commitment. So that's also something else that you have to consider. And then as a woman, you have to balance, life and school or work, right? Yeah, which can sometimes be crazy. But one thing to remember is it's okay to drop a ball once in a while. Just don't keep dropping the same ball every time. So if today maybe you dropped a family ball, make sure the next time it's not a family ball. So you missed maybe so you missed maybe a family event, but next time try to be there if you can. I know sometimes it can be difficult, but try to not to drop the same ball every time. Yeah.
Do you think it's important for somebody going through this type of education? Because first of all, how long does it take in Africa to go through medical school if you're wanting to be, say, a doctor?
Okay, so you'd actually have your 5 years of undergraduate training, and then you get 1 year of internship. I think you guys normally call it a residency program. And then after that, depending on how you want to specialize, it can be another 4 to 6, 7, 8 years, just depending on what you want to do.
Wow.
So for example, if you want to be a pediatric neurosurgeon, that's going to take you like 12 years.
Wow. That's
because you have to
life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it takes a long time. But for pharmacy, it's a 5-year program and then 1 year residency program. And then now you go out into the field.
Wow. Okay. So that is quite an extensive period of time. And so with somebody young who's coming into that space, getting their head straight and knowing that that's what they've got ahead of them is really important. Do you feel like a mentorship situation has to go on or should go on for longer than, say, 6 months or so? Maybe for the length of time, at least the first 2 or 3 years that they're in medical school?
Sorry, I didn't catch that. You froze.
Do you feel like with that kind of commitment and the intensity of it, if a mentoring sort of component needs to be in their life for at least the first 2 or 3 years of their medical training?
True. Actually, when I was studying pharmacy, I had a mentor. One of my lecturers, actually, he really sort of guided me through the schooling, but also trying to figure out where I want to go after I graduate. And he was very instrumental, and he helped me a lot, trying to figure out my next steps. But because he was a man, there's some aspects of womanhood that you need someone older than you to tell you about. And as much as he was very helpful, but at the end of the day, I still felt like I needed to talk to a woman going through what I'm going through. So it was tricky. Like my first few years of work, I already had a baby. Like,
wow.
And she was really young, and it was hectic. The late nights, but also long hours at work.
Oh, yeah. Take some planning. Planning.
Definitely.
All right.
Definitely.
Wow. What brought you into the pharmaceutical space?
Actually, when I was in high school, I wanted to be a chemical engineer. Because at that time my dad used to work for Shell, the oil company. And I always was fascinated by chemistry, and I thought that would be the right path for me. But we had a career day, and a chemical engineer came to talk to us. And when she described her day, I was like, no, I don't think that's what I want to do.
It wasn't as glamorous as you thought it was going to be, was it?
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Yeah. So after that, I had two choices, either to get into medicine or to get into pharmacy. And I looked at the requirements, what my family would have to sort of give up when I'm working in medicine. And I saw pharmacy was an easier path, in the sense that I could work normal hours, 8 to 5, or if I'm doing a night shift, it's just, specific hours. So I chose the pharmacy path.
Well, that was smart for you. It's still a good path to be in, because it lends itself to all kinds of extensions off of that. I mean, health, wellness, now that they're putting such an emphasis on wellness and nutraceuticals and, and prevention and, that kind of thing. It's especially now that we're in pandemic mode, it's just really key to kind of be looking at health from a broader perspective, and even mental health too. So
true. That's true.
All of the above. This is great. I wanted to kind of capsulize some of the key points. I was trying to write down some of the things that you were saying. So if I missed something, correct me. So as we look back at the kinds of things that you're doing with WeRBinti, and by the way, what does Binti mean?
All right. Binti is a Swahili word that actually means young girl or young woman.
Young woman. Yes. I knew there was a meaning there somewhere.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, African culture is very particular about naming.
Yeah.
And I really thought about it before I came up with the name. It took me several tries, but yeah, I like this one. Yeah.
WeRBinti. Well, the first thing that I got from it that just really resonates with me is mentorship, because as you know, I do the Daughters Global leadership mentoring, and I've done mentoring before that, and then started a couple of youth leadership programs. Always mentorship is sort of at the key of that. It's just, and it lights me up. I just love doing it. So mentors, but for particularly in the case of studying something as big and important as medical, the medical field, is mentorship doesn't just begin and end when you think you know what you're doing. It sounds like it would be important for the first at least 2 or 3 years that you are in medical school, because you're going to need that guidance, just like you so that you had somebody when you were in pharmaceutical school that, you know, helped you make some decisions and move forward. So there's that. The commitment and integrity, two different pieces that go together. Commitment, you know, there are going to be some sacrifices when you do something this big. And so the integrity piece, I love the fact that you brought that up, because I think that you cannot overstate that. As human beings, we like to talk. And if we've had a rough day and a patient was giving us all kinds of crazy, then we're going to want to talk about that somewhere to somebody. And that's their personal life history with you while you're in, you know, helping them. And so you should not share that. So that commitment on the part of understanding it's going to be hard. You're going to have some missteps. Integrity, you know, there are going to be some sacrifices you have to make. Don't drop the same ball over and over again. I like that. I like that. And balance, that's the same sort of thing, is understanding how to balance your family and your work and that sort of thing. And know yourself. I'm taking it all the way back to the very beginning thing that you said, is being able to know, is this really right for me? And knowing deep inside that this is the impact you want to make. This is part of the legacy you want to leave on the world, you know, is this is my path forward, and be sure about it as you can possibly be. I always tell, used to tell my own kids, and I always tell them, you know, the mentees, is don't expect that whatever you get into is what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. It may not be. You know, just because some people are able to go to a major corporation and punch a, you know, a time clock every day for 50 years doesn't mean that everybody's cut out to do that. So it very well be that you'll switch gears. And if you do, it may not look anything like what you're doing now. My daughter, I think, was very frustrated when she went to school for 4 years, did really well at it, graduated as one of the first female master electricians in fine arts, and ended up with Crohn's disease that caused her not to be able to do that after, I don't know, about 5 or 6 years, because it was very physical, and because of the demands of her, you know, her medical condition, she couldn't do it. So she is one of the best dog walkers, dog sitters you have ever seen right now. I'm so proud of her. Dogs love her. She hit her. And the funny thing is, there was even a hint about this when she was in middle school. She went to a veterinarian's office and set up a little like mini internship. So she went and walked the dogs that were in the vet's office and things like that. So there was already in her heart and brain, this was already planted. And now this was her go-to. She's, you know, she loves it. They love her. And she's really providing a service for particularly like people who are working in hospitals and whatnot and have long shifts of work. And she can go check on their animals, make sure they're fed and loved, or keep them at her place and make sure they're fed and loved there. So, you know, being able to have that flexibility of knowing this might not be it for me, but what's the next thing? What can I do that's sort of still impactful, still doing something good? So this is great. I love this. And I love the fact that you stepped outside of the norm and decided to pull this together, and also have done so well with your pharmaceutical, you know, consulting work. And I just think all of this is just really wonderful. So congratulations. And we hope to help you and support you in what you're doing and help you grow WeRBinti. And thank you very much. Any parting words for anybody who's listening?
Yeah, actually two.
Okay.
So no matter what situation you're in right now, it's actually taking you to where you're supposed to be going. So don't look around you and feel like, you know, I've lost everything, or I'm not where I thought I was gonna be. You never know what's coming up tomorrow. So just keep the faith, just keep going strong, you know, you got it. And the second thing is, once you learn something, it's always better to teach someone else who can teach someone else. Multiplication. Yeah. And that's where the whole mentorship thing comes from. So spread the word, teach the word, you know.
Exactly.
Get it multiplying.
It's a pay forward. Yeah. I feel like, you know, I always tell people, if you've ever been mentored, it's now your responsibility to give that back. You have to mentor forward. And so you don't receive something that valuable, because people's time, their energy, their love and support, that is really meaningful to you, to anyone. And so if you receive that, that is put upon you to move it forward. That is my feeling. I'm not God, but that's my feeling. I think God would appreciate that though.
Oh, he would.
So wonderful. Thank you so much. And a lot of education, learning, and an opportunity to connect with you guys, a couple of events coming up, and also a resource. And as soon as we get off of this interview, I'm going to make use of that resource with a
Awesome.
mentee of my own. So thank you
Yeah.
very much, Judy. Appreciate it so much. And we look forward to watching you guys grow. So thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
No problem. Take care.